Disclaimer. This podcast showcases business partners and friends that engage in lively conversations about books over many drinks. Content may not be suitable for viewers under 21.
All right, perfect. Okay, we'll do the intro because somebody might.
Which, the high or the low one?
Let's do our normal one.
Okay.
Really weird.
Okay.
Felt a little like USA up all night. I was like, oh, what is this? Books and booze. Did you say booze or boobs?
Get yourself a Brad.
Brad bra.
Yeah. Okay. Hey guys!
Welcome to another episode of
Books and Booze. I'm Leilani.
And I am Kristen. And we created this podcast to bring you on a journey with us of literature and libations, right? Because it's so fun to get together with a friend and a good buddy, right?
Yes.
And just talk about business, talk about life.
Talk about mindset,
All of that.
stuff, and just because we're business owners, business always kind of seems to get into the conversation
Sure,
too. So
absolutely.
we're here to show you, hey, have a good drink and talk about business and have a good time with it.
Have a good time with it.
Yeah.
So we kind of wrapped up last episode pretty quick. We were barely into the first chapter of this incredible book,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Infinite Possibilities by
So
Mike
glad
Dooley.
you like it.
Oh, I'm loving it. And Mike lives here in Orlando. Do you know, I was this close to DMing him and just be like,
You want to meet for
"Right
lunch?
down the street, do you want to be on our podcast?" But I was like, we're still working. I mean, we haven't even hit 50 episodes. Actually, this might be pretty close to it.
You think so?
We're getting close.
Wow, and I never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever be on a YouTube podcast. Ever. It was not even in the forefront of my thoughts. What does that mean?
This is episode 42.
42.
Both deer headlines are like,
Well, before we dig too much more into this amazing literature, the libation we have been enjoying is, you introduced them to us.
yes, Manifest Distillery out of Jacksonville. A great place to go and visit. You want, small business USA, family centric, just a really cozy place, chic.
It looks so amazing and Insta-worthy. Like every angle, I was like, I could see.
And you know what really impressed me too, especially what's going on in this employment climate, is that their team members are happy. Like you go in and you feel it. You didn't force them to come into work today.
That's awesome.
You didn't have to convince them to go and work that day and clock in. They're there and having a great time, and you can feel it. And it just makes your experience all the more enjoyable. Sure. And I really, that as a business owner, that's what stood out to me a lot. I was like, wow, their team members they are team members. They're
part of the family.
They are part of the family. They feel it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to go there. You already got to go with Danny.
Yes.
So, yes, we would really love to do an episode there. So we'll see what the future holds. Well, no. We are reading a book about manifestation. We will be doing an episode there. We'll let you know when.
Yes, exactly. They actually have, wink, wink, they have a room it's just for tastings, intimate gatherings or tastings, and Manifest.
Taste all episode.
Yeah, we could. But Manifest Distillery, if you're watching this, when you start watching this, that little room would be great.
Okay.
To host an episode over there for sure.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it will.
I see it. I feel it.
Yeah.
I want it. I got it.
I want it. I got it.
So this specifically is the aged gin, the barrel gin, but they have several different ones, right?
They do.
Okay.
They have another one that's citrus based. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Yes, I'm Thing is, we're here in Orlando. We cannot get that one here. No.
This was a pickle to find already. And they were like, I don't even know how they had it because it wasn't something they normally stocked. I was like, well, I'm taking it.
And I know they're working on their distribution. That was one thing we spoke about. Let's just say that distribution for spirits is not a monopoly, but it kind of is.
Okay.
Not a monopoly as in like you can't get in, but it is cutthroat in order to get into some of the major distribution chains.
Even more reason for our books and booze purpose, because if you guys have noticed, the spirits and wines that we've chosen have been from small craft, family owned.
We purposely go in
and seeking this out to give them a voice.
Yeah, to give them a voice, because some of the best spirits I have tasted have not been commercial ones. You know, they're not the ones that you actively find in the major retail, like ABC Liquors and stuff like that. They're small batch. And I love the fact that when we go and shop for some, we're going straight to the manager and saying, we do not want the commercial stuff. So we want small batch straight from the distillery. We're looking actively. And what I really love is that they're so with us. Like, we ask them, and the manager's like, yes, we have this. We have this.
Here it is. Yes,
so they're thinking the same thing.
I think Total Wine's been a good partner for that. I mean, yes, they're a big chain, but they're trying to give these...
With the Spirit Direct.
Yes.
They have their Spirit Direct, which I come to find out that Spirit Direct means it's coming directly from the distiller.
Amazing. Love that.
So I really love how they highlight it too. And typically Spirit Direct, so anyone who's going to a Total Wine, Spirit Direct, you're going to see a special discount. And usually it's like $3 or $4 cheaper. Understand that's not just because, it's cheap booze, it tastes terrible. No. It's typically $3 or $4 cheaper because it's coming directly from the distiller. There is no middleman.
So smart.
Yeah, and so please support your small business USA. And if you see someone or see a distiller or a wine or any spirit, and it says Spirit Direct on there, give them a shot.
Give them a shot.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's almost like going directly to the restaurant instead of using a third-party delivery.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's about Manifest Distilling in Jacksonville, Florida, and we are enjoying it.
What are we drinking? Kristen, what are we drinking? Let me say my line. Kristen, what are we drinking?
We are drinking the barrel gin from Manifest Distilling. And isn't it wonderful? So it is like 99 degrees in July, and we just needed
as I wear my blazer. The ice that keeps me cool.
Yes. But I know you really love a gin and tonic.
Yeah, I do.
So fresh citrus from the basil tree. Y'all, the tree is as tall as me at this point.
So good.
And then I like a gin and soda. So
yeah, you like gin and
heavy
soda?
on the gin, because this is such a great gin. All right, back to our book. We barely made it through the first chapter. Yeah. Mike Dooley.
Yeah.
Infinite Possibilities.
There's a lot. There's a lot coming out of that first chapter. Isn't the first chapter the longest too? I want to say.
Well, because we also grouped the epilogue.
Oh, right? Yeah, that's right.
About the Adventure Club. And I feel like, based on what we've established with Books and Booze and Saige Consultants, I definitely wanted to give those that are consistently joining us a little background as to this book, because I feel like we have this blend of very like business only, almost savvy, and then we haven't delved too much into the spiritual realm of creating success and wealth.
Well, and it's a lot of that has to do with the taboo that, again, in the last episode I talked about how business is business, personal is personal, right? And so spiritually, personally, right? That's how people connect it to. If you're spiritual, that's a personal issue. Hey, but listen, was it a Chick-fil-A? Chick-fil-A comes in, they're very much spiritual based on how they run their business. Hobby Lobby, very much the same.
They're closed one of the days of the week, well, Sundays. So they take basically a seventh of their potential earnings out.
Huge too, because Sunday is like one of the biggest days. You know, because people come out of church and they get hungry, right? And they decided not to be open those days because it doesn't align with their spiritual
core
days,
values,
right? So I just want to clarify and really for me, because I had that issue in the past. as far as limiting beliefs that business needed to be completely separate from personal. I want to eliminate that.
Yes.
Right.
It's a story we tell ourselves.
It is a story.
And he gets into that. It's a limiting belief.
It is a limiting belief. And so we're in Saige Consultants, we've talked about this, about mindset. And because we are Saige Consultants, Books and Booze is its own separate entity. We've established that Books and Booze is its own separate entity, and Saige Consultants.
It's when we don't drink.
It's when we don't drink. Okay, we really did give you Saige advice, but we don't drink. But in Books and Booze, we decided that we want to show you, hey, business is fun, but we're also going to show you business is personal.
Yep.
Right? And so it's important for us to not only read the books that are only around business, but it's also to read the books that can affect your business. And this is one of them.
And I remember, so I started out in family-owned business. My first job was at a Christian bookstore that was owned by an amazing husband and wife, and it was just an incredible experience, unlike anything I could have had. And then I jump into one of the biggest retailer brands of the nation at the time. And here's me, so passionate still for how I was raised and religion and things like that. And I just remember my boss telling me, you really don't want to talk about religion, and the girls really shouldn't pray before their shifts and things like, because this was corporate, you don't want to offend somebody, and
it's like separation of church and state, right?
You have to separate. And so I was like, okay, no problem, right? And I can understand. And then this whole PC world, I'm a lot older than right, so then you got to be politically correct and not like offend anybody, and then there's cancel culture now. It's on
steroids right now.
So I think people are really hesitant to let their, no pun intended, true colors show,
Absolutely.
We're scared to be who we want to be in a professional environment. When we find our safe place with our friends, it's no problem.
Well, I mean, look, guys, we're bearing what our thoughts are to you on the camera
for everyone to see.
Do you know this gave me anxiety?
It's a little terrifying.
It really is. But then a part of me came out and I said, you know what? I'm not going to satisfy the masses. This is not for the masses.
No,
if you don't like what we're saying, then you, by all means, tune the hell out.
Yeah.
Right? But if you get something out of this, then hey, hang around.
Let's go on this journey together.
And that's kind of where, I had to get in the mindset of, there are going to be people who don't align. That's fine.
It's okay.
I'm not for everyone.
Somewhere
We're
out
not
there
for everyone. That was the thing we just had a moment. Yeah. We're not for everyone.
Right.
But whoever we are for, we hope you enjoy.
Yes.
And that was the thing of separating, like they said to you, don't pray with everyone. And I understand, because the corporate world is trying to even the playing field for
They want everybody to feel safe. They want everybody to feel comfortable. They don't want to offend people. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. So much of that is great.
Yes.
But what ends up happening is people still get silenced with that.
Because you start getting factions that start playing against each other.
Yeah.
And so the corporate, and this is the part where I haven't led a Fortune 500 company. I will one day, right? Someday soon. However, I have not led a Fortune 500 company, and I understand that you have to go broad, right? But I wonder, there has to be a way that even as big as you get, can you still make everyone not, like, there are going to be groups that group together by commonality, but how can you do it where, if you're going to group together because you're Christian, you're going to group together because you're Muslim, you're going to group together because of this or that, you don't get them fighting against each other, especially, when it's your common core is business. You're here to sell your product, right? You're here, I don't know, what you just told me were like, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like now you can't do Pledge of Allegiance, you can't, right? Okay.
Right? Okay. Meanwhile, chapter 2. No, it really hits home, right? And so here we are diving into a book that is very spiritual, very emotional, and when one wants to present themselves as, we can help you, we are here, we can help you grow your business, we have sound minds, and then you dig into something like manifestation, which is really, it's on the opposite spectrum of where a lot of people feel comfortable existing.
Yes.
So, people will throw this out there as being, whoa, those people, right? But there's a lot of those people in successful roles and in leadership and in power in politically, who live this. And then I go back to, because I brought this up before, I go back to ancient scriptures, and there are similar baselines, and when you really understand that, a lot of times religion can be influenced by those who want to control the masses or build their own business, aka a religion. It can get tainted on what the original meaning was. So here is someone like Mike who is not puppet controlled. He's speaking from his heart, and he's able to say what he wants. And here we are reading it and talking to you, and it's vulnerable. It really, I would dare say, more than Daring Greatly. We went into Daring Greatly talking about vulnerability and things like that. This, I think, is our true test of Daring Greatly. We are stepping into an arena that could bring a lot of ridicule.
Oh, yeah, especially when you talk about the Bible. Anytime that comes up and you're not aligned with whatever anyone's saying about the Bible. I'm not saying I'm not aligned. I am aligned. I think there's a lot of great lessons out of the Bible, but I might not exactly align with some of the interpretations of the Bible.
Right.
And I can get ridiculed, and I'm not gonna say I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna say I understand that not everyone's going to align with me, connect with me, agree with me, and that I'm okay with.
So, continuing at chapter 1 into chapter 2.
How many more minutes we have left?
We're good. So, he digs into this thoughts become things, and that thoughts are really something that you choose.
Yes. Yeah. I hope you're choosing them.
Right? And that your whole world will actually revolve around the thoughts you choose. So keep in mind, he is laying a foundation and then building you up to a successful ability to understand his view of successful manifestation. Okay?
Yeah.
So he has to take you, we are starting at ground zero here. And he's helping you understand how to begin with your mentality, your thought process, your approach. So when we dig into this, one of the first things, visualization is huge. Now, whether you want to manifest or you just want to win a championship or you just want to get that job promotion, I think there is some sort of manifestation that happens.
Yeah.
Because visualization is everywhere. It's on corporate posters.
Why do you think we have commercials?
Well,
I mean,
right?
The commercials are everywhere trying to manipulate your visualization. Like, if you want to, I think about, like, my son, he's sitting there, he's watching these YouTube videos, and something pops on, it's very colorful and animated, and
it captures him.
Yeah.
And I like, mommy, this.
It hypnotizes you because it makes you start visualizing for something. It's inception, I guess, right?
Inception.
What's the word? Incepting? No.
The commercial gets you, and it makes you want it.
It's not that. I was thinking about the word. Because, anyways, have another.
Yeah.
But it's like hypnotizing you in a way.
Yep.
It is manipulating your thought. It's making you think you want this thing when you really don't. But if they do it enough times, maybe
it gets you. Yeah. Law of diminishing returns, right?
Yes.
You keep seeing it, and it breaks you down. So he takes you through the 4 steps to beginning visualization for what your ultimate goal is.
Yeah.
Right? Some of you maybe have not manifested before and want to begin. So, and keep in mind, like, this has been a journey for me, so there are so many great channels on YouTube and books that you can read, and there's a lot of people that I've been following that have different rules that worked for them. What you read in this book has clearly worked for Mike. He's very passionate about it. So his take on it is don't overdo it. He says short little visualizations, right?
Yep.
He says be gentle with yourself, because I know when I started, negative thoughts would come in. Like they like come at you like little bombs. Like I remember sitting at the pool and just really getting myself to a really great place, and I was feeling so good, and then all of a sudden this, like, you are crazy. This stuff does not work. And I'm like,
your limiting beliefs, like,
and then, I get myself a few weeks later and I'm there just very zen. And then all of a sudden, like, how are we going to afford what's coming up? We remember Jackson's graduation
Yes.
and like, it was like a 2-week celebration.
How am I going to pull this off? The house. The cursed house.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he says, be gentle with yourself because you will drift away, but just be aware of it and bring yourself back.
So I had a friend that says when those thoughts, which she likes to call the crazy monkeys, they come in and they start playing around in your head. She's like, acknowledge them. Be like, okay,
here you are.
Here you
I
are.
feel this way.
Okay, but not now. We're going to talk about this later.
Give it its time and
space. And then just let it go
that.
and then come back to it. And then the other one was, well, I think he talks about it. Don't do it longer than a couple of minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just a few minutes and only like 1 or 2 times a day.
Yeah, and
short.
Short ones.
Yes.
And I find that you daydream and visualize. Yes.
Oh, totally.
All the time. We just don't acknowledge it all the time.
It reminds me of that the Christmas Story, the movie.
Oh,
where
I love that movie.
He writes his paper about wanting to ride a BB gun, and he pictures his teacher A plus, and he's cheering and he's on the shoulders of his friend. Right?
Yeah,
we go there quickly.
We do. But it's quick.
It's quick, right?
You get those visualizations quickly. But I also, and again, everyone is different. He maybe visualizes every day. I find that I visualize every day, don't acknowledge it every day. But when I actively sit down to do visualization, it isn't every day.
Right.
However, when I was first starting out, I would feel guilty if I skipped a day.
Didn't.
Here or there. I would feel guilty because I'm like, darn it, I missed
a step, right?
Yeah, I'm missing.
We're so indoctrinated to for something to work, you have to
do it. Have to regimented. You have to do it like this every single day. Where even if you're just doing once a week, I mean, as long as you are trying,
Trying, and so Bob Proctor wrote the acknowledgement to him, and they had worked together on The Secret. The best example I ever had of shifting the stories you tell yourself, your paradigms, was from Bob Proctor, because he kind of makes this whole diagram where he divides your brain, I guess, in half, and he has the top half is all the senses coming in. You see things, you smell things, you taste things, all of that, and then below that is your subconscious. And to be able to shift that and kind of because those stories we tell ourselves eventually seep into the self-conscious, and that's where, how many of you truly believe money does not grow on trees? How many of you believe that you shouldn't do something until you have enough money in X amount of money in the account?
Perfect time.
Wait for the perfect time to have kids, to buy a house. Wait for the perfect time to start your business, right? We're pre-programmed with all these limiting beliefs.
And those limiting beliefs, that pre-programming, most of the time comes from society, how we're raised, your parents, right?
And to no fault of them, because either they brought it with them or they just want the best for you.
It's fear-based.
They want you, and we talked about this in Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yes, we did.
Right?
Yeah,
because they just,
they're telling you because they want the best for you. But it's coming based out of fear of maybe what they went through in their past or what they've seen happen.
We're not wanting you to fail.
Exactly.
But failure isn't bad.
No, it's
not.
It's
a way to...
What did I say?
It's an opportunity, a learning experience.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. So, Mike takes you through those beginning visualization steps, and then he says, thinking is believing. Align your beliefs with your dreams, because as you believe, so shall you think.
Yeah.
And that's, I think I blended that with what I learned from Bob Proctor, and just that you really have to shift deep down inside.
Yes.
You have to change, Bob Proctor, because of changing your paradigm, you have to get on the frequency of what it is that you truly want. But it's true, when we limit ourselves, and I think this is why he wrote that fantastical epilogue of, we're spiritual beings, but we limit ourselves.
We do, and I kind of want to go back to the visualization that we were talking about before. Sometimes I think others can get mixed up on if you're doing it correctly.
Sure.
And
I think we get hung up on ourselves. I know I do.
I do too.
Did I breathe the right way?
Yeah. Did I meditate the right way? right? What is meditation? All that stuff, right? Until I came to realize that when you're doing it correctly is when you get that feeling, like that little capricious feeling that's like you're giddy, you're like, oh, I can't wait,
Something
enthusiastic. I
is bubbling up.
So happy because I see it and I'm going to get it, that feeling, you're doing it right.
Okay.
That's how I feel for anyways for me.
And I think it sounds like it's going to be different for every person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For me, it feels like that. Like you get energetic. You're like, yes, I can. I get so happy. I'm like, yes, I can see it there. But again, it might be different for everyone. But if you feel that when you're visualizing, I think, I can say that you're doing it right.
Right. So that really wrapped up his section of thoughts, right? He starts out really digging into our thoughts and how powerful they are. Thoughts become things, but also thoughts can be limiting and everything like that. Then he begins to dig into emotions. This is powerful because he says emotions, most of us want the exact same thing as the end goal. We want to be happy.
Yeah.
And we heard this back with the Science of Getting Rich, right? The way to truly be happy is to have abundance and wealth because there's so much to enjoy in this life and there's so much we want to accomplish.
And not feel guilty
feel guilty about it. Yes.
Yeah.
So Mike just puts it right out there. He says happiness is an inside job.
Yeah, I like that.
I
it really
totally
is.
do.
It's like start with why. It's an inside job.
It is.
Yeah.
And he says happiness is the emotion we experience when we feel that the circumstances in our life are favorable. But we get to choose that because there are going to be unfavorable circumstances.
Yeah.
So how do we look at those, right? And it's like the same thing. You can't look at things as a failure.
Yeah, it's an experience.
And I think back to your recap of what got you to being able to work from home and have your own business. You had to go through being laid off.
Yep.
Like that sure didn't feel like happiness.
No.
I'm sure at the moment.
Yes.
But
at the moment, it felt horrible.
It felt horrible. How am I going to feed my kid?
Yeah.
How am I going to pay my
house? How do you go from 2 incomes to 1? Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
But where I find it's not ironic because it's just the universe does it for you. It gives you these little nudges, right? So my first nudge was getting laid off to align myself on the path. So I'm going in one direction, which is working for the mortgage servicing company.
Another.
And working there, I will never have worked, for myself, own my own business, or even work from home, right? That just was not a path that was going to happen working in that business. So the big detour came in where I got laid off. Okay, got laid off. Now, crap. We went from 2 incomes to 1. How are we going to do that? And there was a sequence of events that happened along the way that money would come in when we needed it. When we were really like, what are we going to do? How are we going to make it? All of these things.
We were provided for.
We were provided for. Things happened. They would align and get us to the next step and get us to the next step. And I actually just went over this with my husband the other day that I took a chance and bought $2,500 worth of merchandise at one point in time, raw materials to make, what I was doing at the time.
Jewelry.
And that money just came in. And I went and bought this. I could have used it for mortgage. I could have used it for this. I didn't. I took it and I went this way. And why? I can't tell you why. It was something
felt right to do that.
It's just intuition, whatever you want to call it, intuition, whatever.
We're gonna talk about that.
It just came through, and I clicked by.
Intuition.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what I love that he says is that perception is your view of the world through your beliefs.
Yeah.
And so he's talking about emotions, right? And Mike gives this example of, the t-shirt business wasn't quite doing what he needed when they first started, but he had been working hard for several days and he wanted just one morning to go to the pool.
Yeah.
But guilt kicked in. He was sitting there at the pool. He's like, I should be working hard every day. I should be making every moment count. And so it was he says, a pretty crappy experience at the pool that morning versus his mindset saying, I'm on the right path. I've done the right things. I deserve a morning to celebrate or to relax, refresh.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
However his whatever he needed to tell himself. But instead he was, oh, I should be working hard. Oh, I should be this.
So a lot of people like to use the word deserve. I deserve to do this. I deserve to that. I've worked hard. I deserve this. And part of me is like, yes, you do deserve, we all deserve to be happy, right? The part where I go and I say, do you really though deserve it, or is it just something that you need? You don't have to rationalize it. And I think that's the part we come in like, I worked hard, I deserve a day off, or I worked hard, I deserve to go on vacation. And like, you don't need to rationalize it. Just follow your gut. If you need it, you need it.
Yeah.
Just say,
listen to your body.
Listen to your body.
Listen to the universe.
Yeah, just listen to your, there's times where I've got so many things on my calendar, and sometimes
you're exhausted.
I'm exhausted, and I'll tell my husband, I feel that I'm having, it's going to get to a point where I'm going to overwork myself, and my body will manifest a physical thing that will keep me locked up for longer than I need to. So before I get to that point, let me get ahead of it.
Listen.
And listen to my body and say, I'm just going to lay in bed for a while. But I don't need to say, I've worked so hard, I deserve to lie in bed for a day. And that's the part where I say words have power. So go in and just acknowledge the fact that you have worked hard and you need this respite for yourself.
Yes, to recharge.
I don't like, it's not that I don't like the word deserve, but I feel like it's trying to rationalize something that doesn't need to be rationalized.
I think it comes from scarcity. Right? You don't get to do this until this, or you have to accomplish this before you deserve this. It comes from scarcity.
It does.
Right. So what I love is that Mike really digs into the emotions. And this was powerful for me because he says that those emotions of sadness, depression, anger, they usually, if you boil down to the root, where are these coming from? It comes from when you feel powerless or hopeless.
Yeah.
And I think it's, again, he's taking you from a base level and helping you understand how to shift your mindset, shift your thinking. So you are going to feel sad sometimes. You are going to feel angry. You're going to feel, and so it's acknowledging those. But when we acknowledge those unpleasant feelings, we can kind of hit the source of them.
Yeah, peel the layers.
Peel those layers away.
Uh-huh.
And then once we do that, Mike encourages us, and several other, like there's so many, Bob Proctor, Regan Hillier, I hope I'm saying that right. There are so many who have been trying to educate people on manifestation. You are not what you feel. Don't let your emotions define you.
Yeah. Emotions come and go. There's a spectrum of emotions.
Sure. Based on the moment, based on how you've taken care of yourself. Yeah. Oh my gosh. If you don't eat nutrition, if you don't feed yourself what your physical body needs, if you don't get rest, you're going to be...
Oh, you're going to be dead. Not dead, literally, but...
Or an emotional wreck.
Yeah. You're just going to be really tired. And I don't know about you guys, but if I'm really, really tired... my train of thought is not the best. And even on camera, sometimes I come in and I'm super tired. And it's like there's a permanent brain fog that happens. And I just, I can't make those words. I'm slurring a little bit more even though I'm not drunk. It's just because I'm tired. But emotionally, what it ends up doing too is altering my state of mind. So understanding that your emotion is not exactly how you feel. It's just how you feel in that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Abraham Hicks is actually someone that Mike Dooley interacts with on a regular basis.
Okay.
And one of the things she says is if in that moment in time you are emotionally drained, you're just tired, everything you're seeing, it's late in the day and everything you're seeing, it has like a bad tint on it, right? You're wearing sunglasses and you're just seeing it from darkness, right? Go to sleep. Go take a nap. Go take a rest. Go to sleep. But it's not time to human at that point. You just need to go lay down and go to sleep and reset because the emotions...
So that's interesting because from a scientific point, when we first come out of a resting sleep is actually our most powerful moments.
I agree. I take 15-minute cat naps, not every day, but when I feel it, I'll do it. 15 to a half hour.
Well, was it Tesla or somebody somebody known for their thinking. Einstein. Take little naps, but with a spoon on them, and when the spoon fell,
it was a ball. He would hold it here on his chest.
Something.
Well, that Einstein did it. Well, we'll go into that in a little bit, but take a cat nap, because what ends up happening is your mind has a moment to reset, and it will reset your emotions, right? And I'm not telling, this is not for anyone who's actively in depression. You find yourself sleeping the day away. There's a difference.
Sure.
If you find yourself actively tired all day long and you're having to take multiple naps a day just to make it through the day, at that point I would seek professional help, because possibly you could be diving into something a little bit deeper than just emotional strain, right? But in this case, if you're just going under the strain of the day and you're...
Well, business owners.
Yes.
Because we wear 10 million hats.
It is.
At any given moment.
And you take one off and you got to
put the other on quickly. And then a customer calls and you're...
Yes, exactly. A customer, or you have meetings. I had back-to-back meetings until 10:30 at night last night. And, one of the things that you do is you take one hat off and you put the other. And you're having to come up with these split-minute decisions just on a whim and be okay with it. That's another thing, because you're making these decisions and then you have to be okay
with your decision.
And so when that happens, it does have an emotional strain. So at that point in time, you just have to say, hey, it's okay, we're good. But still, that drains a little bit. It does. Yeah. So at one point, you're just going to say, okay, time out. And then, there we go. Yeah. What is it? You have to recollect, right?
Yes. So he gets into thoughts become things, and then he gets into the emotions. But let's be realistic. Manifestation there's an element of magic to it, but actions have to come into play, right? Yes. And I love that Mike acknowledges that several times throughout.
Yeah.
So he talks about our actions speaking louder than our words. And I think just some of that's part of, if you truly believe manifestation is going to work, build your dream board or your journal or what have you. He even talks about there was a point where he was feeling stressed about money, and that's when he found himself giving to charity and stuff like that. Now, what I appreciate about him is he is not so woo-woo, if you will, that he reminds people, don't live beyond your means.
Yes.
Right? So, and there's several times in this book, he's like, I'm not saying to go out and spend more than you can, or I'm not saying
and I think that's, because
that's a delicate part.
Well, I've been trapped in that too, where you're like, you're telling me to spend. Okay, let's do this. So there's the art of circulation, okay? Mm-hmm. You want to circulate your money so that way you can make room for it to come back to you, right? Mm-hmm. Or emptying out a spot. That Parkinson's law, empty out that spot so it could be filled with what you want, right?
Yep. Or create a big container for it to
come
to,
exactly.
Right?
And I think where he's trying to say is, be very careful where you're circulating your money to, and make sure you can do it within your means. Mm-hmm. I think when people think of do it within your means, that's where the frugal mindset comes in, thinking, well, if I only have $10, I can't give away $10. Not necessarily. You can give away other things. Maybe it's not money, but you can give away your time.
Yep.
Right? You can give away
craft that you're good at.
Yes, your craft, a talent that you're good at. You can give those things away, which would help in the art of circulating around good, right? And at the same time, what is the message that you are telling the world? What are you telling the universe? If you are giving away that $10 worth of time, talent, or money, you are signaling the universe saying, I'm willing and ready to receive more back. But if you do this, like Scrooge, and you're like, no.
Hold on to it.
Hold on to it. I'm not going to give it away. What signal are you telling to the universe that you are not ready to receive those because you're not willing to let go? Mm-hmm. And so it's the art of circulation and the art of letting go.
And so he says something very similar, and I didn't bring this up in The Science of Getting Rich because, I don't know, I'm still working on being okay with me accepting this. You know what I mean? Like I said the last episode, here we are trying to come at you as we are sound-minded business professionals, and we are talking about manifestation, right? But that's okay, because that is That's what resonates with us. And
It ties 100%. Go ahead, finish your thoughts. Sorry.
Well, so in the Science of Getting Rich, and Mike even talks about poverty consciousness.
Poor people's mindset.
Well, beyond that, like the way to help poor people or those in poverty is not to throw money at them.
Mm-mm.
And this was even in Science of Getting Rich. Like the best way to help them is to show them that they can change their mindset, they can change their circumstances, and become wealthy as well. It's almost like the airplane thing, right? When the air things drop down, what does every airline attendant tell you? Put your air mask on yourself before helping others.
Yes.
And so he begins to dig into this. And this is so hard for me because I don't know why, but then Kevin has always said, the first person I ever heard it from, then I realized it was an ancient proverb. Teach a man to fish and he eats for one day. Give a man a fish, he eats for one day. Teach him to fish. Right.
Yeah.
And I believe this is where Mike's really going. Like when you can unlock how to build wealth and abundance for yourself and then help others along that path, you actually do more good than saying, all right, I have just enough in my bank account, let me send you $100.
So this is where I have a little tweak.
Okay, please.
Okay. You can teach the man to fish, right? So you can give him a fish, he eats for one day. You can teach him how to fish, and he'll eat for many, right?
Or teach him how to cook it and have a 5-star Michelin restaurant and be world famous.
Supply him the fish. And so this the part where I go and I say, let's tweak it, though. It can't just be any man that you teach to fish. And so that's the part where you only help those who want to help themselves. And I think I said that on like a previous one.
Yes.
Yeah, you only help those. And I know it seems like, it's like cliche and stuff like that, but there will be people that will stand out. I'm just saying that will stand out and say, I want to make a change where I'm at. I am ambitious, I am driven, I see this, I want to accomplish this, and they stand out. And you say, okay.
Let me teach you.
Let's do this,
okay.
Right? And there's others that are going to say it, but they do not follow through with their actions.
Or they stay in almost, I think what's cliched today is a victim mindset, right?
They stay in with excusitis, victimitis, where they just make all the excuses for why they have not.
What's happening to them versus,
yes.
Okay.
So that's where I go and I say, you focus on the ones that show you what they want to accomplish and they're doing the steps towards gaining that, right? And now you decide, am I going to give them my time, talent, and money in order to help them?
Sure.
So that's, if you want to talk about the determining factor there, that's it. You can still give it, but you just have to be very conscious of who you decide to do it with.
Very true.
So
I mean, that hits home even, I'm sure for some of you, and maybe with even family members, right? Like I feel like there's almost you want to take care of your family members, but you also want to set them up for.
Yeah.
And I think when something happens within a family unit, it hits even closer to home versus a stranger. Right?
It does, and that's where we are raised that as children we need to take care of our parents.
Of course, and our family, right? Yeah, family first. And blood is thicker than water.
Yes, right? You take care of them, you take care of them, but the thing still stands true. I will take care of you as long as you want to take care of yourself. If you're not wanting to take care of yourself, as much as I love you, my hands are tied.
Yeah. You can only do so much.
You can only do so much. And so that's the hardest part, though.
Sure.
It's coming into the family side of it. So it's so funny, we talk about business and personal, right? The principles that stand in business.
This is where it overlaps, because how many of us open a business because we want to do more for our family and create a legacy?
And I've done it. I've hired on, and we have a family-run business, and I have hired on
family members, literal family members,
blood family members, and not that they did a bad job, but I had to handicap certain things and duties that I should cater to them, where I could have hired someone with multiple skill set in order.
And they get to fill multiple roles.
But
yeah.
then again, I understood that someone came to me and said, are you running a charity or running a business? But at the same time, I went in and I said, this person I trust 100%, and that's worth more than what I could gain on this side. And so that's where you have to weigh the pros and cons.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, at this point, we're about halfway through the book.
And the bottle.
And the bottle, right? Lord. Y'all, thank you. This was a longer episode even than it was part 1, part 2. But thank you for joining this. Let's wrap this up, right? And we'll jump in. Yes, I'm so excited to keep going with this. Y'all, thank you for joining us. Like, this is exciting. Put some comments in. We're ready to be vulnerable. Put them in there.
Yeah,
how do you feel? There. What do you think? It's okay. Yes. We're ready for it.
We're big girls.
We're big girls. And we know how we feel. Yes. And we're looking for our tribe.
We are.
Yeah,
we are.
So that's okay.
We're not everyone's cup of tea, but we're looking for our cup of tea.
You're my cup of tea.
You're my cup of tea.
Oh, cheers.
Tea meaning booze.
So y'all, grab a good book.
I need more booze.
But you got a good buddy to share it with. All right, y'all. Cheers. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
You don't have to whisper. Episode's over.